partnership approach. It's been very appreciated. Thank you very much. Right, we'll move on to the Ōpāwaho Heathcote River Network, and that's also by Zoom. Oh no, that's not by Zoom. You've zoomed in. You've literally zoomed in real life, yeah.
If you want, you can.
Yeah, if you could press your little button too, so that your green, yeah. So and that no, just one needs to be pushed. Yeah, that's it. No, yeah, that's right. It lights up all three.
Lights everywhere.
Thank you.
Okay, kia ora everyone. Ko Anaba Hasumanaho.
Kia ora, Malcolm Long.
And as you're, we're quite familiar faces in the council room, but just to go through. So the Ōpāwaho Heathcote River Network is a community-based catchment group, and the Ōpāwaho Heathcote River Network is a voice for the river. We advocate for and promote the regeneration of the health and Māori of the river, and we connect with and support the communities within the river catchment.
In the consultation document, the Mayor said that there was the potential to transform the Ōpāwaho Avon River corridor into the jewel of Christchurch's crown, which is a great statement, and we'd all agree with it. We'd just like to think that there was more than one jewel in the crown, and that they were all buffed up to the greatest brightness possible. And so we push as much for the Ōpāwaho as for the Aotearoa.
The Mayor also said the council's biggest focus is addressing the impacts of discharge of stormwater to water bodies, and we want to focus on sediment. And we acknowledge the considerable effort the council is currently doing, is planning to do, and to reduce sediment entering our rivers and to reduce the likelihood of flooding. But we also just really seek an ongoing commitment to this, because this is vital work.
And in that regard, we strongly support the prioritising of contaminant reduction at source. And the largest contaminant of the Ōpāwaho River is sediment, and the greatest contributor to that is the Christchurch Adventure Park, which the council has an interest in. So we really would push that there is some urgency given to the preparation of an action plan to address erosion and sediment issues coming from the CAP as a significant way of reducing it into the Ōpāwaho River.
The Port Hills and Littleton Harbour Erosion and Sediment Programme. We really see this as a key programme for improving the health and Māori of the Ōpāwaho Heathcote River. We seek an acceleration of this vital programme. We want assurances that there's an adequate allocation for the city-facing slopes of the Port Hills. These facing slopes are the areas that sediment comes into and contaminates the Ōpāwaho Heathcote River, so there needs to be a focus on that. We also want assurance that there is the planting and maintenance of native trees is not only where there is current sediment, but also above those erosion zones and in the gullies and tributaries that feed into the Ōpāwaho Heathcote River. Healthy waterways. We are seeking a commitment to the council, the ongoing commitment of the council to develop the Healthy Waterways Action Plan for Christchurch. We know that this plan, we want this to achieve, for us to be able to achieve what we want for our waterways, for our healthy waterways, with the community involvement and how we're going to achieve that. We also want a commitment to the ongoing commitment to the Community Water Partnership, which is a key program happening with the council and the community, and thank you for the support for that, but that really needs to continue.
We use the South Library a lot, and it's great to see that you brought forward the repairs to the South Library, and we just like to suggest that this is a great opportunity. We've put there a picture of the Dallington landing, but not because we want something like that, but because this is an opportunity for that siting of the South Library to actually reflect the river in some way. While you're repairing it, for goodness sake, take the opportunity to make the connections with the river through maybe an education facility or an information facility, something that's co-designed with the mana whenua and the community. And we also are seeking the adoption of the Lower Ōpāwaho Heathcote River Guidance Plan. This is a great plan, particularly the fact that it's come from community input right from the very beginning of the plan, coming through from the community board. And we will be seeking in the future not only the adoption of this plan, but the creation of similar guidance plans, which are quite unique for the entire Ōpāwaho Heathcote River.
And thank you to Yanni for spearheading that program with the community board. So I'd just really like to say thank you for a very readable annual plan. These plans have improved year after year, and we've been reading them, and we're actually finding them quite accessible now and to find the key information. So that's a great job with the comms team. And a big thank you to all the City Council staff who are really willing to assist and help us with information and advice in all the work that we do. We really appreciate that. And we look forward to an even greater involvement from the council and involving us as community with the solutions to our waterways going forward into 2022. So thank you.
Oh, kia ora. Look, thank you very much for that submission. This has really troubled me, that all of our water bodies, in relation to the opportunity that I had to sit on the Three Waters governance working group. And I think it was that really opened up my eyes to the significance of the reality of achieving Te Mana o Te Wai when stormwater's kind of such a challenge to include within the three waters. Get two waters, but the third water links so closely to the sort of planning process that you're talking about. And so I really welcome the submission. It's very helpful. Thank you.
Great.
Sorry,
Thank you.
did Anne?
Thank you. It's always nice to hear kind words about staff as well, because I know they do a fantastic job. I'm just wondering, what is the difference, and do you think, between a Healthy Waterways Action Plan and the Waterways Partnership? What do you see the differences? I'm interested that you've asked for that.
Well, I think the Healthy Waterways Action Plan is something that's happening with staff and the council already, with Belinda Margetts and the team, and looking at probably more scientific and more detailed, coming from that, but to really support. I think the two things in the end come together. But I think at this initial stage, those actions are being developed within council, but I do see community involvement being needed in that as well.
And the Water Partnership is particularly a communication exercise with the community, getting community groups to work with the council and ECAN to communicate ideas that the community needs to accept or face up to. Yeah.
Phil and then Sarah.
Thank you, guys. With the adventure park, did you notice that the sediment got a lot worse after the fire, when there was not as much ground cover, so to speak, or is it just generally?
Well, the problem is the fire didn't help, that's for sure. But if you carve paths through Lewis, you're going to get sediment, and I'm not sure how redeemable the whole thing is, but it's an enormous issue that's only going to get bigger.
With the subdivision that's next door to it, it will have its own sort of stormwater retention ponds and so on. Is the adventure park just go straight into a creek and out to the river? Has it got anything?
Oh, no, there's going to be a dam. There are several ponds, but unfortunately, because it's Lewis, it's not going to settle out.
Sorry, there is dams and ponds.
There will be a dam when you finish building it in the next couple of years.
Not yet.
And there is a retention basin that's been developed at the base. One of the key issues is the sediment coming off the adventure park from the Lois. It flows into that creek that comes out of the adventure park,
yes.
Which is, if you see the images, we've presented those images before, it's just huge. And then there's a retention basin pond that's been developed, and then the dam. And so there is a whole lot of work going, but it's coming from other areas as well, and that's where we need to be work to be done with ECAN as well, to find the source. What are the critical sources, and LiDAR information of knowing where these sources are, and then having an action plan. But we are saying that the adventure park is one of the key contributors to sediment within that catchment.
So when it's hosing down, so to speak, you say, oh, that's half clean, and that coming out of that valley, you can see it. It's the
Oh,
dirtiest.
Absolutely.
Okay, no, thank you.
Absolutely. We've had the benefit of images in the past. Sarah?
Kia ora, thanks so much, and thanks for all the mahi over the weekend too. Amazing event, which is great. Listen, the planting for erosion control on the Port Hills on the city side. My recollection is that we put some additional funding in for that in the long-term plan, and I'm wondering if you've seen the impact of any of that funding. And I think it was a smaller amount to start with, and then more in the future. So this is probably the first planting season since then, and I'm just wondering if that's been visible at all.
No, not that we know. No.
As I understand it, the first lot of money for that was meant to be spent before July, and they were still struggling to find how to do that.
Yeah. Okay.
But so we're talking about the 9 million that is allocated for that planting over the whole Port Hills, and seeing that there really needs to be a focus. And a lot of work has been done in the past with the Port Hills Rangers, with those gullies. There's a lot of work that is going.
And there's a lot of volunteer efforts at the moment on the hills, but it's making sure that's coordinated and that there's enough seedlings, for example, and then maintenance.
Yeah.
When it comes to the coordination, we had a bit of a gap over the period of the LTP where we had previous funding for community partnerships, park rangers and those kind of things. And then because that funding ended, we had no staff for a while, and then we had to go through a re-employment process with new ones. Does that, especially because it's over like the planting season, does that disrupt what's happening and slow down work at all?
Well,
I think the key thing in the whole thing is having the council staff and rangers to support community in that, because I think there's a huge amount of support within the community to make things happen. But I think one of the limiting things is the council staff to be able to provide that connection and to really implement it. But there's
Currently we've got only 3 years worth of funding for community partnerships staff, and then we're going to lose those staff again. So you prefer that was just permanent?
Definitely. That is crucial in the whole picture, otherwise it can't really happen.
Yeah, thanks.
Great. Look, thanks very much, and thank you for making a submission this afternoon. It's much appreciated.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. And I think Mike Patchett is sitting right there if you'd like to move into the hot seat. And Mike is from the Water and Wildlife Habitat Trust.